A country's source of livelihood depends on its capacity to maximally utilize resources at our disposal for the benefit of the citizens. Creating job opportunities for a teeming populace, a state can turn into an economic powerhouse that can attract investors depending on the overall gross domestic product of the state. Nigeria before the oil boom was solely agricultural-driven economy with tons of cocoa, groundnuts, palm fruits, cassava, yams, etc. exported to other countries. Nigeria had its place in the world ranking on emerging economy. Companies from around the world started coming to Nigeria because of its raw agricultural materials to aid their production. Some of these companies established a base in Nigeria and started exporting finished product to the global market. As Nigeria discovered crude oil, many of these multinational companies were attracted to the possibilities of maximizing profit in a country that just discovered black gold. With a strong economy, tax-friendly environment, and the ease with which to do business, many conglomerates birthed in Africa, specifically Nigeria. With stable power supply, cheap alternative source of energy, security, a good road network, friendly government policies, and tax breaks, Nigeria became a mecca of a sort to many companies that want to thrive. As Nigeria discovered crude oil, many foreign nationals did everything within their power to have a base in Nigeria. Many oil companies like Shell, Chevron, Algip Total, just to mention but a few of them, wanted to have a taste of the wealth of Nigeria. But as time went by, the WAM's vibrant economy, due to mismanagement, corruption, and insecurity, was reduced to a pitiable state. The multinational companies and retail stores that once wants to do business in Nigeria are beginning to pack up, while some have already left the shores of the country.
That businesses are leaving the shores of Nigeria, you can't really blame the businesses. There are reasons why they're leaving and they're relocating to Ghana or to Mali or to even smaller economies. We are the biggest economy in Africa, and one would suggest or expect that the conditions required to sustain such a growing economy would be available, but sadly, that is not the case. The median age of Nigerians today is between 16 and 25. We have the youngest population, the youngest youth population on the continent. And how are we making use of it? How are we able to put young people's energies together to make them productive and useful for society if we're having to have big corporations who have existed for decades in Nigeria leave? And there's a sense in which government must sit down to reorganize herself and reorientate herself and reprioritize, her policies and her ideals to see, can we have enabled power supply? Can we have improved security? Can we have the infrastructure that will enable businesses to thrive? And it makes sense to say that but part of what we're doing in Edo State is focusing on those vital infrastructure that will make businesses thrive.
With regard to the state of our economy, the flow of foreign direct investment, and the reason why many multinationals have left our shores, it's not far-fetched. It's basically because the operating environment, the business environment is no longer that conducive. Globally, capital, international finance would always go to where it is most welcome. Capital is almost a coward. It won't go to anywhere where there is strife, where there is crisis, where the operating environment is not fertile enough to give profit. So, for instance, you look at the situation, the crisis we have had with the electricity industry. In spite of the regulation of the sector, we still have a situation where the output is not enough to power our industries. We still have to rely on diesel to generate power for our industries. And what that does is that it drives up the cost of production. And when cost of production goes up, of course, the companies they find it difficult to compete in a global market.
We are having economic issues in this country. The reason why most multinational companies are leaving this country is basically economic consideration. First of all, we are having a downturn in the exchange rate. A very difficult one when you have a local currency that cannot compete favorably with international currency. And that put pressure on international institutions to operate in a climate of this nature. Secondly, we also have security issues. We have security issues. We are aware that over time a lot of expatriates have been kidnapped, and a lot of them have been subject to torture. And that also is another issue. No international institution or multinational companies want to do business in a place that is not secure.
I will try to bring you up to speed with the names of some of these companies and retail stores that left Nigeria. The 1960s, 70s and 80s departmental stores helped to transform the shopping experience of Nigerians. They did this by making it easier for consumers to find what they were looking for, as well as increase product visibility. Here are some of the stores that made shopping exciting in the 60s, 70s and 80s in Nigeria. But after this, you tend to wonder, where are all these retail shops? Kingsway Store. Kingsway was the first modern departmental store established in British West Africa. It was established in 1948. The headquarters was in Lagos. It was set up by the United African Company in a building formerly used by Lagos stores. The firm had stores across cities in the country, including a 3-story store at Ibadan. Towards the end of the 80s, prices and currency regulation and the downturn in the economy forced the closure of many stores and eventually the closure of Kingsway. Domino Store was established in 1964. It provided a great opportunity for many citizens to have a taste of the good life, expanding rapidly to other parts of the country in the process. However, different economic policies adopted by successive administration in Nigeria affected these brands in no small measure, hampering their growth and grip on the market. The stores shut down eventually. Levante Store. The first outlet of the Levante Store was opened in Marina, Lagos in 1965. It grew among many stores. Soon after, many more stores were opened, such as Benin, Calabar, Abuja, Owerri, Kano, Kaduna, and Maiduguri, etc. Levante stores were a name synonymous with quality and affordable household commodities. It grew into a household name where products were sorted out by both the medium earners and high earners. The enormous provision of job opportunities by the Levantis Group was second to none, but is no more in Nigeria. The United African Company of Nigeria is a Nigerian publicly listed company based in Lagos. Its areas of operation include manufacturing, services, logistics and warehousing, agriculture and real estate. UACN's food operation include UAC franchising, UAC restaurants and UAC dairies. And the question now is, where is UAC in Nigeria today? The next on our lineup is Bata Shoes. Bata opened the first store in Nigeria in 1932. A few years later, a network for purchasing of raw materials was ordered. In 1965, a modern shoe factory was opened, and in 1932, the first Bata shop was opened in Lagos. Since 1935, Bata organization has operated in town of Kano, where it developed in the following years. The purchase network for redemption of leather, rubber, and cotton. In 1938, the firm had 9 stores in Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, Abeokuta, Calabar, Port Harcourt, Benin City, Onitsha. In the 1940s, a director of Bata Companies recorded the company's office in Lagos. In 1947, Nigerians' outlets were modernized. In 1965, the new Bata footwear factory started production. Cortina shoe is one of the shoes produced by Bata, and back then those shoes made history, though the company still operates, but it's kind of silent. UTC was established in Nigeria in 1932 and was formally registered as a limited liability company in 1968. In 1994, the company divested the non-food processing division to concentrate on its food processing business, marketing, brands such as Chopsy, Bell and Champs.
All these companies that had come to the country, like we have Liberty Stores, Dunlop and a whole lot of them, they were here doing their businesses. And then it was thriving and the company was really bullish and things were going on well until things started winding down because the insecurity started turning up, from the Civil War down to the IPOP times we have. We will have people talking about they want to succeed. We have other groups saying, well, we are of the north, and we have started hearing funny names like Boko Haram, that we don't want Western civilization. All of this put together, the government of the day of Yar'Adua down to even the present president now, what have they really done?
First of all, I'll start with the widespread corruption. It will take a hard-hearted businessman coming from outside to come to a country where he knows that corruption is the order of the day. Then the political situation, like we're saying, insecurity I'm talking about here, where they are hearing that a white man cannot move around without being kidnapped. So if a white man is coming here, he has to be ready to pay for armed policemen, pay in quotes, Then what about the transparency of government? When it comes to dealing with their issues, issuing permits, registration and all that, it's a problem, right? Then again, import restrictions. I hope that is being lifted now with this new government, we hope. And then what about the poor quality of the infrastructure in Nigeria? Look at power. You cannot expect a steel company, which of course is the bedrock of development for any society. You cannot expect a steel company to feel very comfortable coming to Nigeria to invest. With the steel company, it's 24 hours light. Otherwise, you're going to waste a whole production costing so much money, right? And you have to run on diesel.
The main reason why most of these companies are leaving Nigeria is because of this insecurity of the thing, and secondly because of poverty. There's no light, there's no insecurity, and the government itself are not giving them a good environment for them to trade on. That is the reason why I believe that these companies are leaving Nigeria to somewhere like Ghana, South Africa, even down to Africa and some other African countries. Those ones are trying to see how they can even win most of these companies to themselves, which meanwhile where they will have the environment of giving their people employment and some other things, while we in Nigeria are busy doing things that will always benefit ourselves, not the one that will drive the economy.
Now let's delve into the companies that have stopped operation in Nigeria. John Holt. This company was equally an important participant in many areas of the economy during the colonial era. The company's businesses in Nigeria now include assembling and distribution of power generators, leasing, distribution of firefighting equipment, logistics, boat building and fabrication of industrial and agricultural equipment. It ceased operation so many years ago. May and Baker Nigerian PLC. It was founded on September 4, 1944 as Nigeria's first pharmaceutical company. In Nigeria, the company started in 1944 on Tinubu Street, Lagos as a trading outpost to serve the West Coast. The company relocated to its present site in Ikeja, Lagos State during the Nigerian Civil War. In 1976, it built its factory in Ikeja to commence local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. The same year, it changed from May and Baker West Africa Limited to May and Baker Nigeria Limited. Little or no news is heard about this company in Nigeria today. RT Briscoe is one of the foremost companies in automobile in Nigeria. It was incorporated on March 9, 1957 as a private limited liability company. The company started its business activities in Nigeria with the importation of building materials and some English trucks under an agency arrangement brokered by its parent company. Briscoe has since 1957 under the trade name Briscoe Motors been a dealer of Toyota vehicles in Nigeria. Briscoe became a dealer of Volvo cars in 1970 through a concessionary agreement dated June 18 and July 9, 1970. The company left Nigeria some years ago. Another name that rings a bell is Chelaram's company, which started operation in 1923 and was incorporated on August 13, 1947. As a private limited liability company, it was admitted to the Nigerian Stock Exchange on November 29, 1974, but officially listed in 1978. It has long left the shores of the country. Patterson Zoconis, also known as PZ. This is the largest and most diverse single market operating in personal care, home care, food and nutrition, and electric products. In 1899, Patterson and Zoconis opened their first branch office in Nigeria, which would become the biggest market for goods and labor. PZ's first soap factory was opened in 1948. In 1973, PZ entered the detergent and refrigerator market simultaneously in Nigeria, and in 2003, PZ Cousins PLC entered into a joint venture, Nutrisima, with Glambia PLC to supply evaporated milk and milk powder in Nigeria. 2 years later, the Nutrisima JV commenced manufacturing in Nigeria. Due to harsh economic condition, unstable power supply and security challenges, PZ folded up in Nigeria. Unilever Nigeria PLC. It was incorporated as Lever Brothers West Africa Limited on April 11, 1923 by Lord Leverhulme. The company has since its entry into Nigeria metamorphosed from a trading entity to a manufacturing and marketing giant of food ingredients, home and personal care products. Where is Unilever today? Tower Aluminium. It was set up in Nigeria in 1959 and served several homes in the country and West Africa with aluminum products including pots, plates, spoons and roofing sheets. It shut down operation in 2020. GlaxoSmithKline Nigeria. Continued manufacturing became unsustainable for GSK, as it's popularly called, and decided to shut down its drug production plant at Agbara, Ogun State in 2021. The company moved into contract manufacturing arrangement with Fitson Healthcare, another local manufacturer. In August 2023, GSK, a British multinational pharmaceutical and biotechnological company, announced plans to exit Nigeria after 51 years of operation in the country. It said GSK UK Group has informed GlaxoSmithKline Consumers Nigeria PLC of its strategic intent to cease commercialization of its prescription medicines and vaccines in Nigeria through the GSK local operating companies and transition to a third-party direct distribution on model for its pharmaceutical products. Technoflex Company Limited. Technoflex was a player in the industrial plastic and foam subsector. The company was shut down in 2017 due to rising production costs. Evans Medical was once one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria but lost its assets due to debt. It had produced machines and upgraded its production facilities to ensure it achieved the World Health Organization pre-qualification that would enable it to compete in international contract rounds. In 2017, a court ordered that the drug maker's asset be taken over by First Bank and the now defunct Sky Bank due to bad debt. This ended Evans' dream.
The major reasons why multinationals actually have to depart the shores of this country to other countries, I will categorize them into kind of 11 points. Okay, one of the reasons is cost savings. And when we say cost savings, what do we mean? Because one of the primary reasons for relocation is to reduce cost. Companies may move to countries with lower labor costs, taxes, or operating expenses. We also have access to new markets. Relocating to another country can provide companies with access to new markets and customers, most probably companies that would love to expand their global presence and tap into new emerging markets. Political stability or unfavorable government policies in a company's current location, it may prompt them to want to relocate. And even the foreign currency stability is another factor that I will also merge with those political issues. Because when the price of dollar, somebody was discussing with me a while ago, and he said $5,000 used to be 1 million naira, and now $5,000 is about almost 5 million naira. So which means that if you are going to get a goose worth that amount, you know the level of inflation that has eaten up.
There is still multiple taxation. Multiple taxation that is not controlled by government effectively. Because it seems to me that the government is not taking into account the plight of the people at this point in time. We must be able to have a tax regimen that agrees with business so that business can grow. Because the more persons that are employed, the better for every government. Because that is the only way you can actually curb crime and all the social vices that we experience in our country.
Some of the reasons why you see that some multinational companies are relocating out of Nigeria is because basically that the Nigeria society is no longer friendly for business, where the Nigeria government or the Nigeria state have not been able to make laws and implement laws that will provide for the security and welfare of the residents of this country and the business as it were. The arrangement between the citizens and the government, or the capitalist and the government, being that the government is supposed to provide for security and welfare, create an enabling environment for business to strive, that the business and the government, or the capitalists and the government, are supposed to have a kind of mutualistic or a symbiotic relationship where both parties benefit from each other.
Other companies that have shut down include Shores Foam Limited, Mofex, Framan Industries, Daily Food, Stone Industries, and MZM Continental, etc. Procter & Gamble, known as P&G. The exit of Procter & Gamble P&G, a multinational consumer goods company in Nigeria, resulted in a loss of over 5,000 jobs and a major decline in foreign investment into Africa's most populous nation. There is a very long list of manufacturing companies and factories that have folded up in Nigeria. These are some of them that might just ring a bell in your memory. The short list include Berek Batteries, Excite Batteries, Okin Biscuits, Oshogbo Steel Rolling Mills, Nigerian Sugar Company, Basita, Tate and Lai Sugar Companies, Matches Manufacturing Company in Ilori, Nigerian Paper Mill Limited located in Jeba, Kwara State, Nigerian Newsprint Manufacturing Company Limited, Oku Ibokun, Akwa Ibom State, and the Nigerian National Paper Manufacturing Company Limited in Ogun State. Others include Nigerian 6 Automobile Assembly Plant, namely Peugeot Automobile Nigeria Limited, Kaduna, set up in 1975, Volkswagen of Nigeria Limited, Lagos, established in 1978, Anambra Motor Manufacturing Limited, Emene Enugu, set up in 1980, Stai Nigerian Limited, Bauchi, National Truck Manufacturers Kano, Fiat Production, and Leyland Nigerian Limited, Ibadan. The most troubled industrial sector perhaps is Nigeria's textile industry, a liberalization policy that opened Nigerian borders to cheap textiles from China, coupled with smuggling of foreign textile, killed the once vibrant and thriving textile industry. 38 major textile companies closed down business in Nigeria between 1999 and 2009, according to the Nigerian Textile Manufacturers Association. These firms include AF Print Nigerian PLC, President Industries Nigerian Limited, Aswani Industries Nigerian Limited, and Nigerian Synthetic Fabrics Limited. and Fespina PLC, all in Lagos State. Others are United Nigerian Textile Limited, Arewa Textiles, Kaduna Textile Limited, Unitex Limited, Supertex Limited, all in Kaduna State, Kano Textile Printers Limited, Asaba Textile Mills, Aba Textile Mills Limited, Aba Edo Textile Mills Limited Benin, and Odua Textile Mills Limited Ado Ekiti. Kano, the most popular city in the north, once the hub of textile industry, has lost the commercial glory. In 2018, the Kano branch of MAN reported that 232 manufacturing plants out of the 338 existing in Sharada, Chalawa, and Bampai industrial estates in Kano City closed down between 1994 and 2018. Of course, this has several implications as factory workers are pushed to the street, becoming social miscreants. The unease of doing business in Nigeria is not limited to the textile industry. The cocoa industry, once Nigeria's major foreign income earner, whose pride is symbolized by the imposing 25-story building Cocoa House in Ibadan, is prostrate and is in dire straits. Nigerians' once buoyant 27 cocoa processing factories has reduced to only 5. All such as cocoa product Ile Oluji Limited are operating at a very low capacity. Unfortunately, Nigeria's misfortune had turned to Ghana's gain thanks to the Economic Commission of West African State Free Trade Treaty. Some local businesses have relocated to Ghana, a neighboring country that enjoys a stable electricity and offers a more business-friendly environment. In 2006, two of Nigeria's leading tire manufacturers, Michelin and Dunlop, relocated their factories to Ghana, citing epileptic energy supply in Nigeria as the chief reason. Many manufacturing companies have halted operations in Nigeria in the last 10 years over worsening microeconomic challenges, lingering foreign exchange scarcity, poor power supply, port congestion, multiple taxation, insecurity, and poor infrastructure, amongst others, have taken a toll on many businesses in the country. To stop the exit of these companies and create more job opportunities, the government should face the security challenges head-on, stabilize the power sector, and strengthen the weak Nigerian currency, which is in naira, to attract investors. Wilson Omasha reporting.